Hello. Welcome to my very first tutorial. My name is Dysmorph, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a sort of plucky lead synth sound that features in my track Ghosts About. I had a request for this one recently, and I thought it'd be a really good first tutorial because it uses mostly Ableton native plugins. It's fairly straightforward. So yeah, let's get stuck right into it. Here's a sample of the track featuring the synth. So yeah, it's good fun. Can be used in a lot of different ways as little percussive rolls or single features, hits, or as I've used it, a bit more of an in-your-face, plucky, nasty lead. It's very easy to make. So let's have a look here. Right, so this sound is based on a Ableton wavetable preset called Second Sticks. So you bring that one in. And that's sort of how it sounds. You can kind of hear the end product in there, but there's a lot of stuff we've got to change first. So firstly, I'm going to bring the amplitude envelope release right down to a few hundred milliseconds. Leave it around there. Bring the sustain up to 0 dB. Reduce the attack to around 5 milliseconds. And just bring the curve up of the attack. So this means we've got like a quite punchy attack, but we're not bringing the full transient in, which I've found can introduce some pretty unmanageable peaks in the end waveform. Next thing we're going to do is jump over to envelope 3. So envelope 3 controls the frequency of low pass filter number 2, and we're just going to turn that from loop to trigger, so it only triggers once. So this is what we've got now. Pretty good. Next we will jump over to the wavetable selection, and I found I really preferred the A-E-I-O-U vowel formant wavetable, and I liked the sound. When you load that up, it will load it to this wavetable position, and that is definitely my favorite. You can go through here and select any of them, but this is my preference, and so that's the one we'll go with now. The dual low pass filter setup in here is quite clever. This is mostly why I prefer using this preset, is because this all comes sort of already loaded. What we've got is low pass filter number 1 is set at a high frequency with a high resonance. Low pass filter number 2 sweeps from a high frequency down to a low frequency according to envelope number 3. And having that 1 in there means that that peak there becomes a quite noticeable texture of the pluck, and you can adjust that to get quite a wide range of sounds. So turning it up, you'll get more of that sort of nice high-end sizzle slappiness. Turning it down, obviously you'll be cutting out some of that. So I like leaving it quite high, turning the resonance of 2 down a little bit. And then jumping over into the assignment matrix, and you'll see here envelope number 3, filter number 2 is at 40. I tend to turn that up to about 50 or 60. See, we've got a bit more of a latent, harsher sound there. It's quite nice. Cool, so that's the settings I like. I'll just pause real quick if you want to note them down. But obviously, different strokes for different folks. Do your own play around with this. Find what you like the most. So that's pretty much the sound design done. Next we're going to do is jump in and start creating our MIDI. Now that sort of unwinding percussive sound, you could do that with an arpeggiator and you would automate the rate, or you could use like an LFO tool controlling different automation parameters on the sound. I like messing around with all those things. I've found that when I want that distinct percussive sound, I get the best results by manually dialing in these MIDI elements. It just gives me more control over where the notes are placed, things like swing and the length of the notes. It just works better for me. It's a bit more tedious, but I reckon it's worth it. So we'll jump in here down to C1 and we'll just draw up a quick pattern. This one's going to be pretty much exactly the same as the track that it came off, because that's what I remember how to do. Chuck a bit of swing on these 16ths. Drop these ones in here. Almost there. And drop these. And that is our rhythm. Cool. Now there's three main parameters on this synth that we automate in order to get that nice textural effect. The first one is the decay on the low pass filter envelope, this factor here. So I'll show automation in new lane. Now the shorter the note is, the shorter we want the decay is, and that has that real like, there we go, and we'll have it open up. So it's got this cool way of sort of, yeah, unraveling, unwinding and opening up the pluck rather than just having it sort of that real consistent noise. Awesome. The next thing I like to control is the bottom end of the low pass filter number 2. This is how low that pluck goes down to. So I like to have it start off low and potentially like open up as the note does. Cool. And the third factor that I like to automate is the actual pitch of the MIDI. So I jump in here to the MIDI clip, go over to our automation, select MIDI, pitch bend, yep, and I'll come in here and, for now it's arbitrary, you'll probably spend ages messing around with this, but this will do us for the example. Cool. And so that is pretty much the sound. A lot of the fun comes from the relationship between that frequency, the decay, and the pitch. You can really get elasticy things going. The frequency of the low pass filter really decides how sort of open and nasty it is versus how percussive it is. So there's quite a percussive one. If I lift it up just 50 Hertz, you'll see already it's much more open and in your face. So pick whatever suits you, have a mess around with the wavetable, have a mess around with the pitch and the decay, and find something that works for you. After this, in the original track, there was a fair bit of post-processing going on, which I'm not going to step you through all of it, but it involved a bit of saturation, some soft clipping, and stereo widening, so just building that stereo imaging, getting it coming from the center and left and right, a bit of chorus, I think a little bit of light reverb, and multi-band compression to sort of bind it all together. But that's the foundation of it. I hope that has covered the sort of key aspects of the sound, and I hope that you can use this technique in your own tracks. Yeah, so this has been my first tutorial. Thank you for staying tuned the whole way through. Please check out my music. My name's Dismorph, and if there's anything I did well or if there's anything I did badly, please let me know. I'm keen to make some more of these tutorials, so hit me up. I'm happy to share just about anything. All right, lots of love. Bye.